This tree is a Picea abies, a spruce, a very common nursery stock material you can find in garden centers. This tree cost me about $15 US, so it's rather cheap.
This is what the tree looked like before it was styled. After about 2 years of development, pruning, wiring and repotting, this was the result.
Today it's early spring, so it's a good time to, for example, work on the roots. Repotting is something we do in early spring. Or we could choose to keep it in this pot and prune and wire. I don't want to do all these things at the same time. So I think for now, since it's placed in an organic soil, which isn't very beneficial to the health of the tree, that today I want to repot the tree. I might make a few cuts in the branches, but I don't want to remove more than, say, 20% of the foliage or so. And I'm not going to wire anything at all as well. So today's mostly about the repotting. After today, this tree will be taken care of, and then at the very earliest, we would work on this tree again in fall, so 6 months from now. But most likely, perhaps even 1 year from now. But let's see how the tree does, and we begin with taking the tree out of its pot and to work out the soil away from the top. So by taking this top layer of soil away, we also reveal where the first real roots begin. And that's something important for us to decide which branches we can keep eventually in our design. Because right now all the branches are growing at the ground level. So I first want to get rid of this top layer of soil.
We also prune a few of the larger roots and smaller roots higher up on the trunk to create radial nebari or surface roots. For the pot we have two options. This first one is a little bit on the large side, but would look nice on the tree. And the second pot I think is a much better fit. And it also helps that it is a round pot, because at this point we still haven't figured out the final front of the tree. Next we prepare the pot by covering the drainage holes with a mesh. We also attach two long wires, which will be used to anchor the tree to the pot firmly. We add a layer of soil before placing the tree into the pot. The soil mixture we use is a blend of akadama, lava rock and pumice. You can read more about bonsai soil on our website, bonsaiempire.com. Place the tree slightly off-center in the pot and make sure to plant it at the right angle. Using the two long wires, we firmly attach the tree to the pot. Using a simple chopstick, we make sure there are no air pockets left in the soil. Next, we'll prune a few branches to open up the structure of the tree and also to free up the trunk a bit. Styling a bonsai tree and applying these sort of techniques correctly is one of the most difficult parts in creating a bonsai tree. You can check out our YouTube channel for videos about these techniques, but perhaps also consider enrolling in one of our online bonsai courses. Here, expert teachers explain all the relevant techniques in detail, and as a student you can also ask questions directly to the teachers. Each of our online bonsai courses have free previews available in the curriculums. Simply go to bonsaiempire.com/courses. We have finished repotting and all we have to do now is watering.
Six months ago we repotted the tree. It reacted very well, lots of new growth, a lot of new buds everywhere, and it's fall right now, so it's an excellent time to make the next step, and that is styling the rest of the tree. So we won't touch the roots this time, but we'll work on the foliage. We will have to decide on the front. I've studied the tree a little bit, and the obvious front is this one. It's also the most open front right now. We could go for another front and tilt the tree, and then we'd have to repot as well. But actually the tree from this side makes most sense, also because this can be the new top, the new apex. And that means that we'll have to prune a bit on the back side of the tree. So mostly these branches right here will have to come off. And of course all these other branches will have to be shortened as well. But let's begin with pruning a bit of these large branches in the back.
This branch has grown too thick and will be removed. We will use younger branches instead, because these can still be bent and shaped. At this point we also clean the tree by removing any dead branches on the interior of the tree. By doing so we also get an understanding of the structure of the tree. On some places on the trunk there are too many branches, so we will remove a few of these. Before we apply the wire, we remove dangling growth and small branches that are growing downwards. This basic cleaning of the branches will make it much easier to wire the tree. Try to select pairs of branches that are more or less of the same thickness, and wire these with one piece of wire. Start with wiring the main branches and slowly work your way up the tree. Before continuing, I'd like to show you our brand new Bonsai Care app. The app provides tree species specific information for all your trees, and it can set smart reminders to optimize the care for your bonsai. It is available for free in the app stores. To make the tree appear a bit older, we are removing the bark off these pruned branches.
All right, back in the garden after quite a long time. The Picea, or the spruce, is doing really well. Bit of a weak section here. Last summer didn't grow as much, but there's a lot of healthy buds, so I don't worry about that part at all. The tree is healthy, ready to be styled. I think the front of the tree will be more or less in this side of the tree, and so from there on we can start designing. First step will be pruning. There's a lot of branches. We left a lot of branches on the tree to keep our options open. But as you can see, there's a lot of branches also growing very low on the trunk. So we have to make some decisions there to get started with. I like to work bottom up. So one of the main branches right here, it's already quite developed and thick with lots of secondary and tertiary branches, so I like this one. So if I were to keep this one, for sure this will have to come off. So you have to choose between this and this. They'll grow almost at the same height, and I would choose this one. So let's take the other one off. I'll leave a small part on so that I can make a chin out of that if I want. But likely I'll remove it entirely. Alright, so that opens up this space. So this is the first branch, and then there's, if you rotate the tree slightly, there's a few other branches here, also growing very low. And there's other options here for back branches. So I think these two can also come off. Okay, so then higher up the tree, from looking at from the front, you see that there's a lot of things happening here. 1, 2, 3 branches all growing from the same part on the trunk. There's two problems with all those branches growing from that same part in the trunk. First problem is an aesthetic problem. It doesn't look very nice if a lot of branches start at the same point of the trunk. It just looks odd. But another problem, the second problem, and potentially more serious, is that if a lot of branches grow from the same part, they tend to thicken up that section in the trunk. And that's really a problem that would be here like in 2 or 3 years. You would suddenly see a thick part in the trunk, and that's really something we don't want, sort of like an inverse taper. So it's better to make a decision there which branches to keep and which ones to take away. So I think for now we're fine with these two branches, but then this branch would have to come off. Okay, I'll take you close up so that you can see the tree from close by. We'll have to make some choices here as well. We have to work a little bit on the deadwood here, just take the bark off and make this look a bit more natural by obscuring those clean cuts and making it a bit more natural. And then wiring the tree as well, of course. All right, finished pruning, wiring, detail wiring the entire tree. And we also worked a little bit on the deadwood right here. So I must say, for a relatively cheap beginner tree that we worked on for a year or two, almost 2 years now I think, the tree is really coming along nicely. Of course, all these branches still need to set in position so that they remain as they are right now, but without the wire. And we also need more and more ramification. But really only in that short amount of time that we've been working with this tree, you already see a lot of secondary branches, lots of new healthy buds as well. So give this tree 1 or 2 more years and it will really nicely fill up. But already now I think the tree looks nice. If you compare this with the before shot, we've made a good progress so far. It's fall right now, so we're going into winter. So this being a Picea spruce, it's one of the strongest trees that I have in my garden, so it needs no protection at all. And then in next spring I could repot it perhaps in a slightly smaller pot that would look nice on the tree, but for now this is just fine. And then the wires will have to come off probably sometime midsummer, but it depends. I have to keep a close eye on the wiring to see that it doesn't bite into the branches. The faster the tree grows, the sooner I will need to take the wires off. Other than that, I think we're done for now.
Learn how to create your own bonsai trees by enrolling in one of our online bonsai courses. We explain techniques like pruning, wiring and repotting, and you can ask questions to the teachers. For the curriculums and free lessons, go to bonsaiempire.com/courses.